Good morning, everyone. Lovely to have you back. Um, as I do every week, we are here to talk about love, obviously. I mean, come on. We are here to talk about love, and today's talk is what? What is love as a value system? Okay. So you're not just going to learn about love in terms of let's have good chats about it. Let's write a couple of poems. Let's ask Chat GTP to write me an even better poem. And then let's, I don't know, sing and dance about it. You're here to talk about love in terms of a way of living, okay, and a way of using it as a framework to really, it's to achieve whatever it is that your heart could ever desire. That's actually what you're doing it for. So, I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and they were talking about it in terms of being better for the world. No, no. And I'll talk about why that is not how you want to look at it, because love doesn't look at it that way. But again, loads to talk about. Obviously, because I love you guys so much, I've made 1,000,001 slides again. I know. I'm amazing. You're welcome. But today, what is love as a value system? So let's kick off. Which it's not really letting me, is it? Ah, there you go. So third talk, as I said, what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna obviously follow whatever it is I've written in my slides. So I'm gonna first thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me. And then my slide tells me to let you know that this is recorded. I wonder if you guys have seen any of my recordings. I hope you have. I hope you find them interesting and useful. I'm getting some traction on YouTube. Let's not forget, Yaz has 400,000 views. Thank you very much on YouTube. And so obviously there must be some demand to what this kooky human is talking about. I reckon there is. Please do go onto YouTube, subscribe if you haven't, like it if you haven't. And even like I said last time, leave a comment. I don't know, pass on a message. I'll leave you a tenner or something and we can take it from there. Do you know what I mean? Nothing wrong with a bit of bribery. I will, because I am still learning. I will have technical glitches, but I think I'm getting better, actually. Those that have been with me since the beginning, I think you've noticed. Yaz is getting better. The sound I have on your sides, I think I've muted it. Even if I haven't, I think you've muted it. So well done. Try not to unmute yourself as we go along, just in case we all hear something that you don't want us to. The chat, I don't know if you've seen it over on the right-hand side. It's a group chat. Please be wary of what you put in it because everybody can see it. It's a group chat, but I really would like you guys to share in that chat as we go along, okay? I'm going to try and keep an eye on it. And I'm going to get somebody to help me do that, which somebody's, thank you very much, Alison, already said that they'll help me with. So I'll be doing that soon. But for the moment, it's just me. So, but pop things in the chat and I'll have a look, and we can have a bit of a sharing about it. Please note the talk will be around about 45 minutes to an hour. I'm still trying to gather really how long it takes. And then at the end, I've got Q&A, which has been sent in, and I'll have Q&A from you. So please do jot down any questions that you've got or pop them in the chat, and then we can make sure that they're addressed. Yeah. So just a recap of what I was talking about last week. So last week it was about love as an energy. Okay. If we are going to think about, and if you're going to have that in the forefront of your mind, as in, I would like to behave and I would like to use love as the aspect that becomes a core value of mine, then you have to understand that love is first and foremost, well, that's all it is in its entirety, not just first and foremost, but love is an energy. So what you are doing is you're looking at working within the remit, the paradigm, the laws of energy. Okay. And we don't. We start looking at it as this elusive thing, or this thing, if I'm really lucky, I'll find it. Don't need luck. You don't need luck. Okay. And everybody needs to understand that. And love and being in love and using love and falling in love and having love is not about luck. It's genuinely about understanding it's a game. It's understanding the rules of the game and playing within that. Okay. It's the laws of energy. You just learn to work within those laws. And I promise you, things will start to shift. Now, when we look at energy, we look at frequency. What is energy? Energy is atoms vibrating. Okay. Very, very quickly. The speed at which they vibrate is what we relate to as a frequency. Okay. And I talked about this last week. You've got the spectrum of the frequency. The higher the vibration, the the higher the frequency. The faster the vibration, the higher the frequency. Yeah. The slower the vibration, the lower the frequency. The lower the frequency, the more stuck, the heavier, the more kind of quicksandy, boggy, treacly kind of feeling it is that we start to get. Love isn't necessarily good, and fear isn't necessarily bad. And again, we've got to move away from these really ridiculous labels, because what we do by labeling things as good or bad is we dismiss them, and then we learn absolutely nothing about what it is that we're supposed to be using that experience to learn for. Okay. We did, as I mentioned, we looked at the emotional frequency spectrum, also known as the consciousness map, which was theorized by David R. Hawkins. And it did just give us the ability to have a look at the frequencies coming down at the bottom, shame, and at the top it was, I think, enlightenment or something, or peace, or something along those lines. And then we looked at conscious versus unconscious. The fact that 10% of what you do and the choices that you make with what you do are driven by your conscious, meaning you're actually consciously choosing 10% of what it is that you do, what it is that you say, what it is that you choose. Okay. The other 90% is driven by your unconscious. So one hair on a head, a really full, healthy head of hair, one baby hair is actually what you are using to choose. And then we walk around going, that's a conscious decision of mine. It's a bit like going to the hairdressers. All right. You go to the hairdresser and you tell him or her or them, you say, can you just style that one, please? And they dye it and they condition it and they put the best shampoo on it and they do all these amazing things on this one hair. And then you walk out going, yeah, check me out. Look at my hairstyle. Check me out. I chose that. But you didn't. Because actually the rest of the full head of hair is pretty much what your hairstyle looks like. And no one can see that one little bit here. And even you can't. But that's actually what you're doing when we are walking around going, I am choosing all the things that I'm choosing. And I don't care who you are. I don't care how long you've been doing this for. The fact of the matter is you'll never get to 100%. Because there is so much information in your unconscious, like I spoke about last week, so much information in there. You being able to get through all of that is pretty much impossible in this lifetime. Not pretty much, I think it is impossible. There are just quintillions of bytes of data in there that it's, if it was a computer and you had to go through it as an archive, mate, you could have like, I don't know, 1,000 people trying to do it, and you still wouldn't be done in 100 years. So it's just way too much information. I think in our DNA, there's something along the lines of every single thing on the internet ever put since the day it was established to the minute we're sitting here now, your DNA has that multiplied by like 1 million or something in it. So that's a lot. But anyway, I digress. So the other thing I talked about basically was that to choose or to use love, we must sit with and face our fears without judgment, with compassion, with a ton of intrigue, and with lots and lots of acceptance. Okay, so if you really want to start to move over to using a framework and be working within a paradigm that is governed on the energy of love instead of fear, then you've got to understand that you cannot do that until you have sat with your fears and embraced them without judgment. And this is where we fall short, because a lot of us come up against it and the first thing we do is judge it. And then even when we're trying not to judge it, we're still judging it. Okay, well, the minute you make a judgment about any aspect of you is the minute you've lost the ability to now not only see it clearly, but you've lost the ability to now influence it. And so the minute judgment creeps in, please understand you are no longer facing your fears using a process that will actually help you to work through them and to heal them and to face them and to, just accept them for what they are. You're not. So last week, I ended with a question. Okay. The closing question was this: your idea of love, where did it come from? Who taught you that that's what love should be like? How many of you actually asked yourself that question? Yeah. Was your idea of love shaped by your upbringing? Was it from a story that you loved, a movie, or someone that was meaningful in your life? Is your idea of the ideal love something you saw in a movie? Or is it maybe even, I don't know, a couple that you have experienced being around you that you've gone, oh my God, this is what I deem to be the ideal love? Where did it come from? Now, understanding why it's important to not only ask yourself that, but to get the answer to that. Okay. So to trace the story behind how we learned to love is so, so important. Why? Well, first, I'm going to ask you, did you take the opportunity to reflect if you were posed with this question, if you did come across it? Did you or didn't you? Yeah. Whether you reflected or not, it doesn't matter. Remember, we don't bring judgment into any aspect of what it is that we're doing throughout all of this learning process. So you don't judge if you reflected or didn't, if you asked yourself that question or not. You might have even just poo-pooed the question and gone, oh, what's stupid. I'm not here for crap like that. I'm here to understand the rules of love and to go off and do it. So stop posing me with these ridiculous, ridiculous questions. It doesn't matter, actually, because there is no right or wrong, remember? There's no good or bad. What there is, though, is there is opportunity to reflect, which means if you did reflect upon this question and answer it for yourself, then that you want to reflect upon as well and go, but what is it that led me to do that? Was it an adapted child type of statement in the background that was going, I must do that? Why? Because I should. Why? Because I have to. Why? Because I need to learn. And so I must. And anyway, that slide and Yaz told me to, so I need to. Is that what happened? No? Was it, I must do this because I am on a mission to learn? Was it like that? Well, what did it sound like? Or was it, I'm not doing that? This is crap, stupid, bored, got loads of things to do. Do I look like I've got time to sit and ponder on ridiculous questions like that? Was it like that? It doesn't really matter what it was. What was it? Then what you're doing is you're asking yourself, what beliefs came in for me to do or not do that? Hence, every opportunity is a beautiful opportunity to bring into awareness our framework that already exists, our beliefs, but also the governing motivations behind what we do and why. So tracing how we learned helps us to see what is ours and what's inherited. Okay. Inherited meaning what's in that unconscious of yours, pushing you along, telling you you are choosing when actually you didn't even know it was there for you to be able to choose. And at that point, what happens is you're no longer on autopilot. And us lot that walk around thinking we are not on autopilot, we are. Okay, we really are. All of us are, to some degree and extent, on autopilot for the majority of our lives. So what you're looking at doing is to break that. Now, one of the things you've got to do to break autopilot is you've got to be present, like here, now. You can't be in your mind and not on autopilot. So how many of you are actually present consciously, purposefully throughout the day? And how long does that presence actually last for? So how long are you present for throughout the day? Have you ever asked yourself that question? Because remember, if you're not present, then you're on autopilot. And that's something to think about. I blame Wuthering Heights for all my relationship. Yeah, Alison, listen, that's what I was thinking is actually there are a lot of narratives out there, including Disney, that have got quite a few of our beliefs going on what we deem love to be the idealized version. What's interesting, and somebody shared this with me not so long ago, and I was like, oh my God, my brain just went like that emoji, like. And she said a lot of the Disney stories and narratives are based, and I don't know, maybe I'm the only one who didn't know this, but they're based on old stories from actually like thousands and thousands of years ago. And they've just been taken, spruced up and zhuzhed up, and then either, sort of Disneyed down or whatever up, and they've just been given back to us. And I didn't know that. I thought Disney was the one that actually invented it. I know. But anyway, so we do. Yeah, please do put in the comments in the chat if you knew that or if you had some idea. Like, this is for me, day one, the day that I found that out. And I was like, well, in shock. But anyway, so no longer on autopilot. What it does by asking ourselves these questions, by being present, by sitting with all of the processes that we go through that we don't tend to challenge or question or look at or bring into our presence, what it does is it gives us the power to learn better ways, right? It gives us the ability to actually choose differently, to rewrite old patterns. No, I'd actually change that. You're not rewriting old patterns. What you're doing is you're growing. And so you're adding to what is already there. We never want to take it away. Why? Because you don't grow if you take things away. You stay the same. You don't want to take away anything. I mean, you are who you are because of all of your experiences, because of your DNA, because of your ancestors, because of the beliefs that you've been given, because of the narratives and the conditioning and all the things that you have learnt. May they be useful or may they be harmful, they are still there and they form who you are. And that's what makes you unique. So we don't want to get rid of anything. We want to add to it. And what we want to do then is have the ability to choose from. And remember, nothing is good and nothing is bad. And so choosing means, well, what do I want as a consequence? Because every choice comes with a whole array of benefits, but it also comes with a whole array of consequences. So with every choice that we make, there are consequences. Me choosing to do these talks every Sunday mornings means Saturday night needs to be, well, maybe not so crazy a night. I'm also too busy bloody doing slides at the moment to even have a Saturday night, but I'm sure I'll get faster at that. And so here's a consequence for me doing Sunday mornings. My Saturday evenings are now most definitely taking the hit. Is this a consequence I choose? Absolutely. Why? Because I'm doing it for me. Why? Because this is what I get great passion out of doing, talking about love. I really do. I'm the preacher of love. This is what I do. This is what I enjoy doing. This is what I seem to be really, really good at. Why? Because love means a lot to me. So when we can add and choose, we can start to live by our truth. And this is something I want you guys to really start asking yourself, and don't look outside for reassurance or checking for your answer, because your truth is unique to you. And I don't give a shit if 8.16 billion people tell you that you shouldn't think that, or you shouldn't feel that, or you shouldn't believe that. I don't care who comes around and tells you that. Your truth is yours. And even if everything outside of you is telling you no, I want you to check in with you and you follow and be governed by your truth, not governed silently by your past, where you then call it a habit or you call it a personality trait. It is not. There are no such things as just a habit. Okay, you have to understand it's been formed somewhere. It's grown, been nourished, fed, watered, and given lots of sunlight to become what it is that it has. You didn't just wake up and go, oh, well, there's a reason that we bite our nails. Yeah, it's not just a bad habit that I have. There is an entire process going on there. And what we don't do is we don't get intrigued by these things anymore. And we really should. I mean, I say anymore, I don't think we ever were. And maybe we were too busy surviving. Maybe our ancestors, maybe we at this generation have the ability to take a bit of time out and reflect upon these questions. And maybe our parents and their parents didn't, because they were just trying to survive. And that's understandable. But we now have to understand, actually, for the majority of us, there is food on our plate. For the majority of us, there is a roof over our heads. And for those of us that have that, we want to take the opportunity to be grateful, and we want to take the opportunity to use that to be more present, to use that to actually make the changes that we really want to reflect and to make the choices that we would really like to. And those choices being conscious and purposeful. So in order for you to really understand this, I want to give you an example. I know. I'm just so thoughtful. I really am. So here's another slide that took me about 4 hours. You're welcome. The story repeats itself. So let's have a look. We've got We've got somebody who's really, really driven unconsciously, just like pretty much most other people out there. Okay. So they, in this respect, it's she, driven unconsciously. She kept falling for people who made her feel invisible. Not intentionally, but she would put it down to being unlucky with partners, finding the wrong partners, meeting the wrong people. It's a narrative, okay? And it's a belief. And it's a narrative and a belief that not only she believes, but her friends believe, her nearest and dearest believe, even her family believes. Why? Because it's a narrative that's just been reinforced. You know, you keep falling in love, you keep, falling for people that make you feel like shit. What's wrong with you? Why did you do that? Oh, I don't know. This happens where we just hang around. All men are assholes, all women are bitches. No. Oh, I don't know. Just this is what happens. And again, it's not intentionally. Believe me, she doesn't want this. Not at all. Not at all. She just wants to feel loved. She just wants to feel cared for. She just wants to feel like she matters. That's all she wants. And that's really, with all her heart, is all she wants. But you know what? She tells herself that she wanted real love, but her choices tell a different story. So then you go, but why? And then she's walking around going, what's wrong with me? Like, there must be something wrong with me. And then she feels like she's the only one in this. And she does. She feels like, what? Because she looks around and she sees like her friends, or she sees people on TV, or she sees, I don't know, reads about those in books, or she sees him, she sees her, she sees them. And she's like, why? Why are they allowed to be happy? Why are they allowed to like fall in love with somebody and feel worthy and feel like they're seen and heard and understood? And why am I sitting here on my own? And all I do is try. And I do try. And I love really hard. And I love really well. But why? Like, what's wrong with me? And then it's not until she really sits down and pauses to reflect. You know, those questions are reflecting questions. She sits with them. And she doesn't sit with them as a bit of homework to do. She sits with them and goes, but what is driving me to do what I'm doing? And then she goes, but why? But what does love mean? Like, and then she goes, love to me has always meant something that is always something that I've got to earn. I've got to earn love. Well, why? I mean, why? Because that's really interesting, isn't it? Sorry, I'm just going to move this thing out of the way. Yeah. So why? Why is it that she in particular feels she has to do that? Or why is this the way for her? Good question, yes. Okay, so let's break it down. And here's why asking yourself what is motivating you in each decision that you make. You don't have to do it for every single one, but I tell you what, do it for more than what you're doing now, okay? This is what it can get you. So what she figured out is she had an or both emotionally distant parent. Now, what does this mean? As a child, she had a parent, or parents, could be one, either both, who was emotionally distant. They were there physically. They were there making sure she's got a roof over her head, making sure she's got everything, but they were not present. You might go, yeah, and so I had that too, but like, I don't have like bad luck with relationships. I'm not unlucky in love. Well, wait a minute. And what happened was, because of this, she had fragments of love. Love came in fragments. A kind word only when she achieved something. Attention only when she behaved a certain way, or if she looked a certain way, or if she did a certain thing in a certain way. Now, this meant that she had to do lots of those things in certain ways, bigger, better, louder, in HD, ultra HD. She had to do those to get some more fragments of love. And what she noticed is quite early on, she had to work really hard for it. She realized I am not somebody who can go, I am worthy of love. Yay me. I am somebody who has to do something for another to make them happy, okay, or to make them okay. And I've got to do loads of that in order for me to get some of these little pieces, these shards of love. So she went, great, okay, well, now I've got the rules. Remember, these rules are unconsciously now brought upon because they're coming from patterns that are real. This was real for her. She didn't make it up. This is not something that anybody told her. This is another thing. You see, nobody told you this. So when you go, oh, well, no, but nobody said that to me. No, but my parents loved me. No, but I was really lucky. But nobody said this to you. This is actually what was happening around you. So these patterns you are now noticing, and they are real. So now you will work harder and harder and harder. She will work harder and harder and harder to become that pleaser, to become that good girl, to become that fixer, and to become the one that is trying the hardest, working the hardest to be loved. So she walks around proving I am lovable, okay? I will prove to you that I'm lovable. That belief, I have to prove I'm worthy of love, sinks deep into her nervous system. And that's what happens now. Her nervous system is on fight or flight. It's in real danger if she is not doing her best, trying her hardest, fixing the most, pleasing the most, doing all the things it is that she needs to do to make him, her, them happy with her. Why? So that she feels like she's lovable. Now, this pattern that she's in is repeated over and over and over. Okay. And years later, without realizing, she keeps choosing people who make her feel the same way. They will make her feel like she is not lovable just being her. Remember, this is what she's going to be magnetized towards. Okay. You're not lovable just by being you. I will love you fragmentedly. I will love you in bits and bobs. I'll sprinkle bits over you here and there if you are doing all of the things that you need to do to make me go, all right then. Because you did that. All right then. Because you look like that. But now, look, you don't look like that. So maybe not lovable. Oh, look, you didn't do that. You didn't, well, whatever it is. We can come out with loads of different things that people may or may not want you to have done, do, should do. But that's who she's going to keep choosing. Why? Because a familiar pain makes you feel safer than an unfamiliar love. I know, it's pretty profound, isn't it? And the repeated pattern is because you actually feel, she feels considerably safer repeating the pattern that she knows, as opposed to being in an unfamiliar love. I remember somebody once telling me who was and has had lots, I mean, she's not anymore, which is beautiful, but she had lots of really, really unhealthy, emotionally quite abusive relationships, in some respect, even physical at some point. And I remember her telling me about one of her early relationships when she was young. And she said, yeah, you know, he was such a lovely boy. She said he was such a lovely boy, but he was boring. That is a great indicator of familiarity. Boring. What is boring? I mean, listen, that word boring is so loaded. I love it. When somebody goes, oh, I'm bored, I'm like, oh, that's brilliant. So much in that. But it was boring. What does boring even mean? Oh, I don't know what to do with this. Why? Well, there's nothing going on. Wait, what do you mean? Are you guys not going out? Yeah. Does he not talk to you? Yeah. Do you have fun? Yeah. Does he, I don't know. Do you guys just do things together like a couple would? Are you not happy? Well, yeah, but just he's boring. Well, what is it that he's not doing that he needs to do to no longer be boring? And she just looked at me and went, and I looked at her and went, what was that? She's got nobody to fix. She's got nobody to please because he didn't need her to be a certain way for him to love her. And so she's not pleasing, she's not fixing, she's not trying really, really hard. So what is she doing? She's just sitting there going, oh God, if I don't need to fix and I don't need to please and I don't need to try really, really hard, then who am I? And she was bored. I know. That's profound. So familiar pain is safer than an unfamiliar love. Otherwise, what do I have to do? Face myself. Heaven forbid. So, by asking herself that, that's where she got to. You can see now why it's so important that you genuinely use these questions to reflect. You ask yourself. I mean, there's so much on social media, there's so much outside of you that really does give you food for thought. Please do use it. Okay, because if you want to start to be within, work towards, move within the framework of love, that move into a paradigm of love, then these are the things that you've really got to start doing. Now, the absence of emotional connection with her parent shaped her internal blueprint of love, translating into unconscious behaviors that attracted emotionally damaging relationships. Why? Because she was driven by the 10%. I take that back. She was driven by the 90% of her unconscious, not the 10% that she genuinely believed was driving her. And this is what is happening to the majority of us. Now, it's fine. You don't use that bit of knowledge to go, oh, great, well, we're all damned. You use that bit of knowledge to go, well, that's interesting because now I want to start to work with that. And you just start now. You don't start on the first Monday of the month. You don't start when there's a full moon or a half moon or a waning gibbous, whatever the moon is called. You just start now. Okay. So you just go, well, what is my ideal of love and why? And who shaped it? Where does my blueprint come from? Great. And you don't use that to bash yourself over the head with either. No. You use that to go, bloody hell, that's interesting, isn't it? And it really is. Now, last week, I did talk a bit about how 90% of the decisions we make are made unconsciously. 10% of our thoughts, our beliefs, and choices are driven by our conscious. Come on. 10% of the conscious thoughts you're having, okay? Not the unconscious ones. Did you know somebody who suffers from anxiety, right, who overthinks, is having up to 250,000 thoughts a day? A 250,000. 250,000 thoughts a day. I mean, please, that's, do you know how much electricity that's like creating? I mean, seriously, we could power so many things with that. Like, what a waste. But anyway, those are there in the back of your head. The unconscious mind decides what you will have access to based on what your core beliefs are, based on your emotional states, based on your survival instincts, your past experiences, your DNA, your lineage, your heritage, and everything else that you don't know about. Use this information not to scare the crap out of yourself. Use it to go, It's a bit like you're playing a game. Imagine you're playing Mario, and now I've just told you where one of the little bad guys hangs out. I know you're scared, but now you know where he hangs out. You didn't even know where the bad guy hung out before, and now I've just told you where he hangs out. Don't be scared of it and don't use it to go, well, that's it then. I can't do anything. Yeah, you can. You'll learn. And even if a bad guy kills you 250 times, you just come back and do it again and again and again until you'll learn how to defeat that bad guy. And then you know what? You move up a level, and then you can have the next bad guy. That's fine. And on each level that you move up, there'll be another bad guy. And then remember, the bosses get bigger and bigger and scarier, don't they? That's what Nintendo was setting you up for. Enlightenment. How did you not know? I don't understand. But anyway, that's what the bad guys are there for. Okay, so don't get scared by the bad guy. And if you get slaughtered by the bad guy, don't worry about it. You've got infinite lives to do this over infinite lives in the Nintendo game version. Okay, please don't take out of context what I've just said. You are not a cat. You are not anything else that has infinite lives. We're talking about a game. So you have infinite lives. You can go and do it again and again and again and again. Just do it. That's all. Now, you are haunted not by ghosts. I know. That was me. You're welcome. You are haunted not by ghosts, but by the parts of yourself you've pushed into the unconscious. And this is the quote by Yaz, the Love Whisperer. I'll give you an autograph later on. Just send me a stamped address envelope. I'll post it to you. Now, understanding this being haunted by ghosts that are not ghosts, that are actually like things you've pushed into your unconscious. Understanding this gives you the ability to really, really put into the forefront of your mind that I am driven by my unconscious. My job, my little agenda for the rest of my life until I close my eyes and never open them again, is to just bring into awareness, one by one, baby bits at a time, things from my unconscious, without judging, by being curious and by being intrigued. Okay? That's it. Question for reflection. What personal values guide your day-to-day choices and big life decisions? Please do pop that in the chat if you can answer that now. If not, please, please, please think about this. Are these values ones that you've consciously chosen? Doubt it. Or ones that have been shaped by faith? So you may have grown up in a family or a household where there is a strong faith, by family members, by parents, by teachers, by authority figures, or anyone else, partners, siblings, what it may be. What are your personal values? And what are they being guided by? Who chose them? Where did they come from? Are they really yours? Really? Are they really yours? Really? Now, having asked yourself that question, we're now going to start looking at love and the framework of love. So now it starts to get really juicy, because I'm going to start sharing with you what love says about all of this stuff. And we're going to break it down and break it down and break it down. And I'm going to get you to challenge it and challenge it and challenge it, because in the last 15 years, that's what I've done. And I've managed to get millions of people to question it to the point that I have now devised this theory that is absolutely foolproof. Okay? So, knowing love. Love has been explored through countless songs. It really has. I mean, bloody hell. I'd love to know how many love songs are out there in the world. Countless songs, poems, books, and artworks. And here we are in 2025, more aware than ever of our interconnectedness. And we are, right? I was just reading an article today about the one atom, and everything comes, and that's quantum mechanics. Everything comes from this one atom, quantum entanglement, right? Or one atom's been split over and over again, and here we are. And so we're more connected than we would ever know. Yet here we are, feeling more disconnected. The human race is feeling more disconnected than at any point in history. That's unacceptable. It really is. It's unacceptable that we have more knowledge now, we have more data now, we have more information bubbling around in the freaking ether than we've ever had. But yet everybody's feeling, the general collective is feeling more disconnected than they ever have at any point. As children, we learn to read, write, and solve mathematical equations like quadratic equations, which I was taught and I did so well at. I excelled at quadratic equations. I worked day and night to try and get that mathematical equations solved, and I did really well. Yet the ability to love, the most essential skill for a fulfilling adult life, is rarely taught. Understanding what healthy love, relationships, connections, and communication look like is one of the most valuable lessons a person can learn. And this isn't hearsay. This isn't my subjective opinion. I know this because hundreds and hundreds of people, because I've done thousands of hours of therapy with clients, just like you, have told me that. Now, through my decade-long work as a psychotherapist, I found the most effective blueprint for love in the writings of the renowned psychoanalyst Erich Fromm. His 1953 book, The Art of Loving, explores love from multiple perspectives, offering practical guidance on how to cultivate balanced, fulfilling relationships. This book, honestly, changed my existence. And I genuinely had a profound moment in my existence from the moment that I read this book. And it's a little bit of a woo-woo kind of story, because I remember going to Corfu, feeling really just knackered. I had my exams to do. I had like assignments to hand in. I had to take some of those bits, which was this book, because I had to write about it. And I was just peeved off because I was knackered. Wanted to be there, didn't want to be there, knackered, not knackered, just couldn't let go. I remember waking up in the morning. Actually, no, I remember getting to the hotel room, sitting there on the chair, reading a bit at night, and having some really, really kind of out of body type experiences and thoughts. And I could just hear it all jumbling around up there as I read his book, thinking, bloody hell, this all really makes sense. And as that happened, I didn't think anything of it. I went to sleep and I had dreams that went along that way, which were really, really profound. And I woke up in the morning and I went, oh my God, this is it. And I sat outside on the balcony in front of I'm going to call it a mountain, but it's more of a mound. Leave the idyllic. We'll call it a mountain. And I finished the whole of the book in that, I don't know, a couple of hours. And anyone that knows me knows I really don't like reading books, really don't like. I'll do it if I really have to, but I've got ADHD and it doesn't go down very well. So, and I finished it all. And from that moment on, it was like he spoke directly to my soul. And I just went, oh my God, this is it. And having used that, I've built on it and built on it and built on it. And it took me around about 15 years. And here I am, having built on that and now built this really robust, really solid framework. What we truly need is a clear, actionable framework for building healthy relationships, not just with others, but also with ourselves. What I found so useful about this was this is something I needed. And I felt like, why is there not something out there like this? Why? As I work with my clients, I noticed this was more and more helpful. It's my compass. Love is an amazing compass. And what I've noticed through using this to navigate is I've become not only a better person, I've become a happier person. I've become a more peaceful, a more content, and just a really, really decent human being, not for anyone else, but for me. And in being that decent human being for me, I happen to have become a decent human being for others. Well, some others, not necessarily all others, but I've become a decent human being for others. Now, love as a compass. To navigate by it, we must learn how to use it. Okay? You've got to know how to use this compass. You've got to learn how to use this compass. You've got to learn how to live by it and embody it. You don't just pick it up when you need it and go, oh, great, and it just gives you what it does. You've got to learn how it works. And this isn't just any old compass. You've got to learn the workings of it, moment by moment. It's not just how we feel. It's how we think, how we speak, how we act, and basically what we become. It is part of a becoming. And its greatest truth, and this is the number one truth of love, is you cannot love another in a healthy way. You cannot go around loving others in this beautifully healthy way until you have first learned to love yourself in that way. Meaning no point going around trying to love everybody else and then getting them to love you back. No point. No point at all. You have to first learn to love yourself in that way, and only then will you be able to love anyone it is that you choose to love in a healthy way. Now, that's all I've got on love for the minute. Why? Because that's a lot of information, okay? And I need you to digest it. I need you to absorb it. I would say to you, if you're here live, great, you want to watch the video and go over and over it. And if you're not, then I would just say, watch the video again and again, not just so that I get lots of views and that you like it and you get comments on it, but because this is information you really need to absorb and digest if you want to be able to move into using love as the energy to make the decisions that you do, to motivate the thoughts that you have that will change your entire existence. And it really does. And I don't say that in a throwaway comment or a really fluffy woo-woo type of comment. I say that in a really, really powerful statement because it has changed my existence. I have worked with clients from all over the world for many, many years, and it has helped them. So I promise you, this comes from not a subjective place or an opinion that I feel is yay. It comes from a tried and tested place. Now, I had a question that came in from Shamila, and I really liked this one because, again, out of the few that I got, I was like, wow, this is good. How do I stop turning every conversation into a battlefield and actually talk with love? I like that, Shamila. Thank you. It's a common problem. I get a lot of people saying to me they find it really difficult to communicate from love because they can start that way, but they end up really kind of in one hell of a fight. How do you do that? You've got to be able to be as grounded in yourself as possible. Now, that's easier said than done. So actually, the minute that you notice that you've started to have a conversation motivated for you by love, from love, for love, and the minute you notice that you're getting triggered so that this person is doing something that's impacting you in a way that's getting your ego either to be pricked up or for you to look over and start using the energy of fear. So you might start justifying, you might start doing these things. The minute you notice that, actually what I would need you to do is stop talking. Do not communicate when you are in that place. If you stop talking and the other person is like, well, say something, you're going to go, do you know what? I'm not able to have this conversation right now. I'd like to take some time out and have it later. If they say, well, that's not possible or that's unacceptable, you say that's okay. But you don't have it. Because the minute it's about to turn into a battlefield, it means it is a battlefield. And the minute it's a battlefield, how long are you going to stand there and not take out your arms and start to defend yourself? It's not easy. It's not easy to just stand there and get shot at or whatever. I've got to stop using these analogies, but it's going to be difficult. So what you do at that point is you walk away. You walk away. You take yourself away. And if you can't, then just stop talking. Okay? Because people try to stand there and go, but I'm trying to use the energy of love and I'm trying to have a conversation from love. And you are doing, love wouldn't do that. Love wouldn't point the finger at another person and go, but you. Love would go, I'm not able to do this. Why? For whatever reason. To be honest, if you want to reflect on why you can't do it whilst you're standing there having that conversation, you're going to do it when you walk away. So again, how do I stop turning every conversation into a battlefield and actually talk with love? Easy. Stop talking. Walk away. That's actually the best advice that I can give you. So thank you for that, Shamila. Now, reflections, questions, or anything to share. Has anything that I have discussed today triggered anything off in you? Is there anything that anybody would like to share or ask? If there is, speak or so forever hold your peace. Okay, so closing thoughts. Next week, I will actually begin by showing you the breakdown and sharing with you the breakdown of the love paradigm, the paradigm of love, starting with the 4 core pillars, okay? The very foundation of love itself. If love rests on 4 foundational pillars, which it does, then what do you imagine that they are? Now, those of you that already know, cheating. Yeah, but those of you who don't, well, what do you think they are? And why is it that you have chosen those as the 4 foundational pillars of love? I am really intrigued to know what it is that you think it would be and why. And again, ask yourself, what is the belief but what are the beliefs that are motivating me having those thoughts or motivating me choosing those particular aspects? Join me next week to discover what they are. And you can book in using the same link. I will send out reminders, as you guys know, and please do send in questions that you have or things that may come off. Also, don't forget, if you'd like to share any of your stories, if you would like to have anything that you'd like to share about love or even about fear, let me know and we can do that. Vicky, I've realised sitting on the window brushing my hair and singing One Day My Prince Will Come might not be the best way to spend my time. No. And I hope that little like roadmap that I showed you, Vicky, helps in you being able to see how and where that may have come from, actually, because I think that may be quite intriguing. So, well, thank you very much for joining me. It's been lovely to have you guys here. And as always, your support means the world to me.